so let's record.
Okay.
I'm super excited for this. I know you were so pumped up and you went to see Tony Robbins. I would have loved to have gone. I'm so bad at that stuff. I didn't even know he was here in town. Obviously I was working, but I think about the entire experience and what you learned. And I know you're going to share some of the like kind of tips and exercises he gave you, which I think is really great. I'm assuming they're things that like we can just do, like we don't need anything to do it. So that's really important for the team to listen to. And then I'd love to know how that book was too, because I haven't read that yet. So take it away, Jenny. Yay.
All right, cool. Thank you. I'm really excited to talk about this. I actually went live on my page. I think I did. I'm pretty sure. A couple weeks back, just because I was really inspired by the conference, but not just the conference, the content that I got, but by the whole experience of it. So I want to talk a little bit about the experience of it and sort of a lesson that I learned as a byproduct of going into Boston that day, because it was definitely different than what I expected, but it still turned out really good. And then, yeah, and I think I got the title of the book wrong, so I have to double check that book, Heather, but I will definitely get you the title.
I can probably Google it right now.
Yeah, so how we figured out we were going. So I'm driving north on 93, and I don't know if any of you have seen it, but there's a big, huge billboard right before Pelham Street that said Tony Robbins, Tom Brady live. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to that. I don't care how, I don't care when, where, I'm going. And I'm bringing my husband. So I went home and grabbed tickets, and tickets were going that night for like $100, but soon after they were going for like upwards of hundreds and thousands even for like really good seats. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be like a whole day with Tom Brady and Tony Robbins. Like, this is going to be awesome. I'm so pumped. So, you know, we get into Boston, we commute in there, and it's early. It started at 8 a.m. in the convention center, and it was supposed to last like all day till like 6 or 7 at night. So we knew it was going to be like exhausting. And when we got there, I received like the little program or whatever, and I look at the lineup, and there's about 8 or 9 speakers before Tony Robbins, and then Tom Brady is like last. And I'm like, okay. So each one of those speakers probably talked for a good hour, hour and a half, and they were fine, but they were coming out and giving us like this really inspiring talk, and then they would try to like sell us something or try to like partner with us in a business. So easily I kind of looked at my husband and I'm like, he's going to kill me for making him come to this. But I will say that the second one that spoke was all about real estate, and that one really got his attention, and he was like pumped about that one. So that may be another venture down the road. But so I looked at him and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So we both decided, since Tom Brady and Tony Robbins weren't going to come out till last, why not just like kind of enjoy the day in Boston and come back and see them? So that's what we did. We walked around. It was a nice day in Boston. We walked down to the seaport area, and we had lunch overlooking the harbor, and it was awesome. We get to spend time together and walk around, and like it was perfect. And when we come back, all the other members in the audience were at lunch. So we were able to like scoot right up front and like grab their seats, because there was nobody like checking seats. So we're like, why not? So we got these really close seats. So eventually when Tony does come out, Tony Robbins, the crowd is like completely pissed. Like the crowd's like, we're tired, we're hungry, like we just want to go home. Like, what is with this Tony Robbins convention? This thing sucks. Like, they're making, like, people were so negative. So he comes out after like an hour of just waiting, and he's like, straight up, he's like, this crowd sucks. He's like, your energy sucks. He's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to talk to you guys until you change your energy. And he literally like walked around the crowd, like came right in front of us. He's 6'7", and he's just like dancing. Like he played like, it sounded like a rave. Like he pumped up the music so loud, and he was like making everybody dance. And like, I'm looking around, like, I'm like, oh my God, now Steve's really going to kill me. And he's dancing. Like, he's like, what am I going to do? The guy's 6'7". Like, I'm going to dance, like, whatever. And literally, like, I don't know, 30 minutes after Tony, like, doing that and then, like, talking and then doing that and then talking and doing that and then talking, everyone was, like, lively and, like, back into it. And, like, you could feel the energy change in the room. And, you know, he had us just eating out of the palm of his hand. And then he's like, and nobody's sitting down for this. Like, you're standing up. He's like, I don't want you sitting passively like this. Like, that's what everyone expects to do at these things. No, you guys are standing up. So we're like, okay. So we're standing up, and then he's telling us all these stories of, like, people that he's helped. And that's when he, like, really started to get my attention, because if you know, like, any of his history, he's helped presidents of the United States. He's worked with, like, really, you know, prestigious athletes, Mother Teresa, like, all these incredibly powerful and, like, affluent and successful people have come to him for help. So clearly he knows what he's doing, and clearly he's, like, talented, and he, you know, he's got this thing to offer. So I'm, like, just eating on the palm of his hand. So he's telling us all these inspiring things. And then he's like, okay, so he's like, I'm going to work with you guys for, like, 4 hours. And we're like, 4 hours? Oh my gosh, we could do for 4 hours. So he starts having us do these little exercises, and we're like, are we serious? Like, we didn't feel like role playing or whatever, but we're like, this Tony Robbins, like, we're going to do this. Okay. Cause we're afraid not to, what he's going to do. So he had us, like, go through a couple different exercises where, you, like, use your body language to just kind of, like, show that you're not into it. He's like, I want you to imagine that, you know, you're going to sell somebody something, like, you're going to meet you know, a potential client, and you just kind of walk in, you're kind of having a bad day or whatever, and you just walk in and introduce yourself, like, you don't really want to be there, and that's how your energy comes across. And he's like, so you know, he had us role play that. And then he's like, okay, so how did that feel? Like, what did your body language look like? And everyone's like, okay, you were slumped over, your voice was quiet, maybe you didn't make eye contact, and it really didn't feel good. It didn't feel authentic. So then he'd, like, turn up the music again and get you all pumped up. And he's like, all right, so this time I want you to go and talk to that person as if your life depends on it, and you have to convince them that they have to buy this from you or whatever, as if your life depends on it. Like, so you're not going to feed your family unless you convince this person to buy from you, whatever it is. And so you just have to make them like you. So Steve was my partner, and he was convincing me that I had to go grocery shopping. I hate grocery shopping. So he's like, honey, I'll buy you lobster if you go grocery shopping with me. But everyone in the room was kind of getting into it or whatever. So he had us go through these little things. And then he had us, like, I don't know, just, like, introducing ourselves to people around us and hugging each other and just, like, crazy things like that just, he was trying to prove a point that your energy really affects everything that you do, and that your energy, like, you are in control of your energy 100%. Because he's like, did you see the energy when I came into this place, how, like, sad it was? And did you see how quickly I was able to change that? And he's like, you can do that every single day. And I was like, holy crap. Like, so, and you can do that every single moment of every single day too. And he's like, so, you know, people go through life thinking that, like, you know, they have to change, and this change is going to take months or years or whatever. And he's like, really, you know, you can change in a heartbeat if you make that decision to change. So, you know, he just went on to go through that. And then Tom Brady came out and talked about, like, his whole incredibly disciplined routine and whatever, and how, basically he's been training for the Super Bowl since he was a little boy. And so they were talking about being prepared, and, like, the value in being prepared and training every single day, you know, for that big game, whatever that may be. Like, say, you know, even if it's just your life, like, you know, what are you preparing yourself for in the future? And that those little habits that you do every single day, you know, sort of like the compound effect, like, they're going to pay off eventually. And that they were kind of talking about that. And, you know, Tom was talking about how he was always an underdog and nobody believed in him. And, you know, he was, like, 8th on the draft pick, and then he sat on the, you know, sidelines, and he finally got his chance. But, you know, he's like, you don't know who your true friends are until you've been, rejected over and over again. So he's like, you just have to believe in yourself. He's like, and, you believe in yourself and you follow your passion and, good things will happen. So I was so inspired by Tony. And actually I know Steve was too, because he came home. We were both really pumped over it. We ended up leaving a little bit early because we were just so like exhausted, but I was so inspired that I came home and I wanted more of like what Tony Robbins was teaching. So I was looking through some of his old books and I found this one, and I keep getting the name wrong. I keep calling it like Unleash the Power Within, but that's a different book that he wrote. So I went on Audible and found it. It is called, if Audible opens up, it's called Awaken the Giant Within. And this is a wicked old one. And it's actually by Anthony Robbins. So that's how old it is. But he goes through and talks a lot about our thinking. And I'm the kind of person that like, I'm a psychology person. I studied psychology and it just makes sense to me. I love like getting down to like how our thoughts really affect, our life. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of takeaways from that book. He gave us 4 steps to clearly to making decisions and then following through on decisions. So I'll definitely share these with you guys if you don't want to write them down. But he said, step 1 is you have to clearly decide on what you want. Clearly decide on what you want, whatever it is. If you want a new job, Tony talked about in the book that he was a custodian in, I don't know, I think he was in California at the time. And he just woke up one morning and was like, what the hell am I doing sweeping floors? Like, he didn't have a college education, but he just knew that he was meant for more. And he just made that decision that he needed to do something more with his life. And at the time when he was writing this book, I guess he was in his like private jet, like flying over the building that he used to work in. But he's like, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to show you that like, this is what's possible when you truly embrace, this, philosophy or whatever you call it. So he said step 1 is you have to be so clear on what you want. But step 2 is you have to take not just action, but massive action, like attack it with everything you have. And, that is one thing that I can say I took away from Tony Robbins is like, he's not like half in and half out. He's like fully in your face, like present, and just his energy and confidence are through the roof. And, even when I came back from that conference and was in the classroom the next week, I'm like, I just felt like I was standing taller and like my presence in the classroom, I was more authoritative and stuff. And, so when you actually like take that on and fully believe in yourself and the power that you have within you, that all of us have, it's really empowering, and it's definitely worthwhile. You'll see a difference if you just start embracing it. So step 3 is decide what's working and what's not working. And that's something that in my business that I've gotten better at. Like at first, when I first started this business, I would try something and I would fail. And then I'm like, okay, I give up on that. I'm not doing that again. But, the longer I've been in it, the more I realize that you just have to tweak it and you just have to try it again. And you just have to try it a different way. And you just have to like think about it a different way. And you can't give up. You just have to like, realize that everybody fails, and that, again, like that John Maxwell fail forward thing, that failing is just a stepping stone. And Tony Robbins totally corroborates that. He's just, he said you have to constantly be assessing what's working and what's not. And if it's not working, think about how do I fix that? So that's the 4th one. When things aren't working, you have to change your approach and keep changing your approach until things work. And then, so that was on decision making. And he says, instead of focus on the pain, focus on the goal. So that's another thing too, is like, a lot of times when we're working out, I do this all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, this hurts. Like, I hate this move. But you think about like, your end result, your fitness or whatever, in your business, you might think, oh, I don't want to message people today. I just don't. But, you think about that goal and how you'll feel and how they'll feel and how, it'll affect your business, then it's so much more rewarding and less tedious. If you guys ever want me to stop and answer questions, stop me, but I'm just going to rattle through and then we can talk after if you want. So Tony's decision-making power, he gives us 6 little steps to find power within you to make decisions. So the first one is, remember the true power of making decisions. It's a power that you can harness in your life. So that's what I was saying, everybody has this hugely amazing power within us that not everyone taps into. And at that conference, they had some of the speakers that came out were incredible, and they actually had these great transformations and these great ideas and these great success stories that were really inspiring. And they kept reiterating the fact that it's really sad that so many people have these huge dreams when they're young, especially when they're kids. And then when they get older, they just for some reason, life beats them down or whatever it is, and they give up on it. And, they kept saying those of you that come to these events and, who make this effort, you're going to be one of the small percentage of people that, realize their dreams and what they actually have inside of them, to make their life the way that they envisioned it. So he says, remember that true power that's in you. And you can harness that at any time. So the second one is, realize the hardest step is making a true commitment. So many times we labor over whether or not we can do something. So he says, never leave the scene without making a decision and taking action. Never leave the scene of a decision without taking action. So it's okay, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? So how many people have we talked to that are yeah, I want to make a change. I want to make a change in my life. Okay, well, let's get you started. I have a challenge group coming up. Well, I'm going on vacation, so message me in a month. Okay, I'll message you in a month. My kids are going to school. They go through a huge list of reasons why they can't do it, but deep down they want to do it, but they just can't make that decision. So, that's something that we can help them as coaches is give them the value in making a decision and tell them I struggled with that too. And I found that when I just went for it, that's when the results came. And so we can definitely reiterate that. Sorry, Jude, I just saw your chat. I'll check it in 1 second. Make decisions often. This gets stronger like muscles. So again, the more you make decisions, it just gets easier and easier. And he says that every single day we have tons of opportunities to make decisions. So you can either make the decision to sleep in or make the decision to get up. You can make the decision to read a book, or you can make the decision to watch a TV show. Throughout your whole entire day, you have all these opportunities to make decisions. And, we have to keep on working our brain to make the right decisions that will move us forward, which is not easy. The fourth one is learn from your decisions and know that you're going to screw up, but to learn and ask yourself what's good about this, because there's always something good to be found. And that's sort of if you think about what I said at the beginning with my, going into the conference that day, so many people next to me were this sucks. Why are we here? Why did we spend so much money on this? And I even read some newspaper articles and stuff from people that were criticizing the whole conference, saying it was terrible and this and that. And I'm it's all in how you look at it. Yeah, you can easily say that things are terrible, or you can stop and look at what is great about it, right? So that's the other thing that he said to do. Ask yourself, okay, what can I learn from this? Say you're running an ad on Facebook, we were talking about earlier, Heather. You're running an ad on Facebook and you didn't get, the 50 likes that you wanted. But you know what? You got 2 new people who are interested in, your challenge group. Okay, well, focus on that. You got 2 new people, which is awesome. So number 5 is stay committed to the decisions, but be flexible in the approach. There's many routes in getting there. So don't just focus on how you're going to get there. If you're thinking about, let's say you're thinking about, I can't really compare it to coaching that much because I struggle with this myself, but like I can compare it to exercise because that's something I definitely love. But you know, you could say like, okay, I'm going to run a half marathon. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden these little opportunities pop up where, you know what, you can run a 5K that's coming up soon. And then, you know, you meet this person up the street who's really into fitness and they want to work out with you. And, you know, you just make that decision and then the opportunities will follow. And then the last one he said was to enjoy it because decisions can actually change the course of your life. In fact, they do change the course of your life. Every single decision we make might seem little, but at the time, but they can turn out to be like completely life-changing. And I can think of several off the top of my head that have been life-changing for me. And then his last little quote said, a truly committed decision is the force that changes your life. So you have to remember that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Yeah.
Can you just repeat that last one, Jenny?
Yeah, he said a truly committed decision is the force that changes your life. Because a decision is basically an experience followed by a process. You're making a decision and then, so if like you decide I'm in this, then everything else is, you don't have to decide on it after that. All you have to do is figure out how you're going to do it, your process, right? So every day it's like, all right, am I going to work out or am I not going to work out? No, you're working out. Like you already decided, so you don't have to go through that. It's which workout am I going to do or whatever. But like, you know, and you hear, I've heard Jeff Hill on the National Wake Up Call. He's like, he talks about non-negotiables. Like, you know, some things just have to be your non-negotiables. And when you make a decision and you're fully committed, then those are the things that'll be your non-negotiables. I don't know what happened to Jude. I think she said her son had to go. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I don't know. I got a really good injection of confidence and a new outlook from him. He's somebody that I've never read any of his personal development. The only experience I had from him, we were actually up at the retreat. Heather, I was with you up at Liz's retreat, and Keith Callahan was mentioning Tony Robbins, and I'm like, who the heck's this Tony Robbins guy? And he mentioned that he was a little bit weird, which he is. Like he does. He does.
When you said that when he came out and was so honest, like it gave me chills because like that's the shit that like moves people. Like
it does.
It's such an influence on the people in the room, right? Like I mean, most people, it sounds like we're ready to like leave or already did leave. Like
they were, yeah. It's true. And I'm like, holy crap.
How do you change that crowd? Like, you know, like that's not easy to change like that mindset in a crowd.
Like 800 people.
And I love that you went to dancing because like Bonnie Engel has said before, like, she's like, I'm not always pumped up when I do my videos. Like, I force myself to get pumped up before. Like, you know, everyone has bad days. She's like, I'll just do a little dance by myself to, like, get myself, stop being negative and be positive. And just, like, life shouldn't be this serious. You know, it's like, just have fun, you know.
It's basically impossible to put on, like, good music and dance and, like, still be in a bad mood. Like, you just
it really is, because I love music. Like you put on, like, your favorite song or something you can't, like, not but dance and listen to. Like, you're not going to be able to help yourself.
Yeah, so he was just talking about how you can physically change, like, using your body. You can physically change how you're thinking. And
one of the other things she said that I want to say, because I want people to hear it on the call, because if they haven't heard it, is the other thing she does, and I always use her as examples because I'm kind of have a girl crush on her. But, like, before calls, she'll just, like, smile.
Yeah.
She said, and it really makes sense. I hadn't, like, researched it, but it makes sense. Like, when she's in a bad mood and you smile, you're basically teaching your brain that you're happy. Like, you're tricking your brain that you're happy.
Yeah.
And it just, like, really resonated with me. So, like, I do it all the time. Like, I'll be at work and I'm, like, fucking miserable. And I'm like, I don't know, Heather, life is not bad, you know.
True. And
it actually works. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, and I know it's, like, mental. Like, you know you're doing it to help your mind. And, like,
it's so stupid, but it works. So, like, who cares?
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, I think those are both good tips. This was really great, Jenny. I took notes that I'm going to share on the page, and then you can, like if we can, I'll share the recording and then I'll share my notes because I want people to listen to the call, but I also think it's helpful for people to just have something to work with.
Yeah.
Because like this is so powerful for me. I feel like it's just like simple tips that can really help people. Like even with onboarding coaches, I think like these steps, just saying like these 4 steps you gave, like clearly deciding what you want, like immediately I thought dream board, like that's a dream board. And that's been my problem for a while now is because, and I feel like you and I actually can relate to this. Like we've hit goals in this business. Like I'm now kind of stuck and I'm like, what am I fighting for now? Like I love my life. Like things are pretty good. Like so I need to clearly decide what I want now and run at that. And that's been hard for me to focus on something specific that I'm really looking to achieve.
Exactly.
And without that, you are really lost and like you don't really know what you're fighting for every day, you know?
Exactly.
Like he said, like you have to like want it so bad that like you're not going to be able to put food on the table. Like when I talk to people about their why, like it has to be that strong. Like, you know, in order to really, really like be successful coming out of the gates and really push for this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, and like the take action thing obviously is really great, and attacking everything with all you have. Like I love it. Like I love all of this. It's so good.
Yeah. And like he just talked about the fact that we get stuck in these like negative habits and like negative thinking. And he actually, in the book that I was reading, he has you write down a list of empowering beliefs and disempowering beliefs that you have. And my list is downstairs. But most of my disempowering beliefs were all about this business. Like I had a list like this long of disempowering beliefs about this business. Like I use this business to beat myself up so much. And I'm like, why? Like, why do I do that? And he's basically like once you identify them, then you have the power to like get the hell out of there, like get rid of them because they're not helping you. So
I think it's so easy. Like after a year into this business, I think it's so easy to look at what you're not doing yet, what you haven't achieved yet, instead of focusing on like the positive and what haven't we done so far. Like, oh my God, like I should be proud of that. But I agree. Like I keep beating myself down and focusing on the negative instead of focusing on what I've done right. And like you said, reevaluating and assessing it and doing more of that, or changing up my ways and trying something different that I haven't tried yet, you know, and not being scared to do that. So
yeah, like clearly Facebook has changed since you and I started coaching. Like I look back on some of my posts from like 2015 and easily like not a great post. I'd get like easily 50 likes. Like people don't see your posts anymore. Like it's like such a different game now. And even on my like page, I used to share my blog posts all the time. I'd easily get 400, 450 views on it. I'm lucky to get 100 without boosting a post now. It's like, it's so different. It's just a different world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, instead of being negative about those, like there's so many like multi-level marketing companies now, and they can't work the business if they're doing something else. Like we can make excuses all day, like why it's hard to like build this business right now, but there's still so many people out there. There's still so much opportunity. Like we're going to the UK, like there's so much opportunity. So it's like focusing on the positive and, you know, that energy. And I'm guilty. I mean, I've been definitely focusing on negative and, you know, I need to switch my mindset. And I think a lot of people do, you know, so I hope this really helps a lot of people on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a lot to be excited about with Beachbody On Demand. Like I was so skeptical when they first came out with the all access. I'm like, are you kidding me? And now the more I get in there and like see all the little tools that they're putting in there, I'm like, this is freaking awesome. I just need to like share it more. So
absolutely. Like even the nutrition part I was talking about with like a few people, because there's a lot of competition for like the fitness world too. But I'm like, just still sell them Shakeology and nutrition. Like that's the part people struggle with the most. Who cares if they don't want the workout programs? Like this whole business is built around Shakeology. Like, you know, or they can use BOD. What's great about BOD is I just sold it to someone like, and I said, well, let's work it into your routine. Like she loves going to these classes, but like she doesn't always go to the gym. Like she'll do a home workout. So it's like, it doesn't have to be someone's everyday thing. And I think that has to be more of the mindset and like adapting it, like listening to people, like, what do you need? Like, what are your goals? Like, how can these programs help you? Not, hey, can I cookie cutter you to make this fit for your life? Like for you to do what I'm doing. It's more like, how's it fit into their life? So we just have to be, I don't even think it's more strategic. It kind of is, but I think it's just listening to people.
Yeah, asking the right questions and like leading them to the part where they're like, oh, maybe this would work for me.
Exactly.
I have a lot of moms that are like, you know what, my gym time is when I get to leave the house and I like that time. And I'm like, that's totally fine. But like they also will do 22-minute hardcore if their kids are napping, like they work it in or whatever. So, you know, there's always a way that we can somehow get people to see that this can fit their life. Like I'll even tell people like you can slap it on your arm and like stream it at the gym. Like you and I have both done that. Like, you know, streaming P90X at the gym, you have your weights right there. Like, and then they'll be, oh, well, there's no Wi-Fi. And I'm like, well, you can actually download like up to 7. Actually, now it's unlimited. I think you can download like unlimited workouts, so you don't need Wi-Fi. So it's like
I
you
use my hotspot on my phone too. Like I have unlimited data, which I feel like most people do these days.
True.
I use my hotspot, and it works really well.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, there's so many options. Like there's so many. It's just again having those conversations, like learning what they need and what works for them, and
and it all starts with the mindset, which is like our biggest struggle. Like we just have to like get over ourselves, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, girl. This is so great. I really appreciate it. It's so good to see you too.
Me too. I miss you.
I'm excited to see you at Summit. It's
only
2 weeks away, which is great.
I know, it's flying by. It's crazy. So, all right, we'll share it in the page, and I'll definitely share some notes that I have too. So,
awesome.
All right. Love you too. Have a good night.
Bye. All right, bye.